Welcome back to the baseball podcast. We're here with, our friend and yours, our best friend and yours, I would like to correct, Ben Silver. Okay, Ben, welcome back to the podcast.
Pleasure to be here as always, fellas.
How does it feel to watch a Phillies team that is freshly, no longer entirely incompetent? How are we feeling about that?
Oh, it feels, honestly, I sleep better. I wake up better. I live better. I eat. Life is better when the Phillies are 500, really. When the Phillies have a good bullpen, life is good.
So what happens if they lose to the Astros tonight?
I'm sad. Life is awful. As soon as they lose
then
game,
you have a bad diet. You're not getting any sleep.
The clout comes right back.
I'm not even entirely joking about that. I probably get an extra 45 minutes of sleep when the Phillies are winning the night before.
Yeah. All right. So you know what? Phillies, you heard it here first. Okay. The health benefits of the Phillies winning, limitless.
Win for Ben.
Say. Yeah.
That's exactly.
Do it for Ben Silver.
My wife is watching. She's been watching Love Is Blind, which okay.
Oh,
but yeah. But it is hilarious to come in.
Ben's
and
I know. I've watched too much of that.
Well, I
okay.
never know who anybody is and who's the bad guy and stuff. So I come in and just laugh at them all. But anyway, she's watching through that, and these people are all idiots and they're on reality TV, so they'll do something stupid, and then she'll get all bent out of shape and be like, "How could he treat her that way?" And I'm like, "Why are you letting it bum you out? It's a TV show." And then she'll be like, "The Phillies ruin your night when they lose," and I'm like, "Fair enough. The Phillies are my Love Is Blind. I guess you're right."
Yeah. But you know what? Go ahead, Ben.
No, I was just going to say I've been press ganged into watching way too many Love Is Blind episodes, and every time I do it unwillingly, and every time it makes me more and more upset. But please keep going. I like talking about Love Is Blind.
Yeah. All right. So welcome back to the Love Is Blind podcast.
Yeah, here we are. I have not seen any episodes, so I'm going to go ahead and say
I despise him.
Can you believe Cole did this to Zainab or whatever her name is? I don't know. I'm making
Zainab?
I think
Zainab
that's
sounds like a name that would be on that show.
Yeah, that's
I've watched 4 episodes.
Zainab sounds like if you took a name that would be on the show and spelled it backwards. That'd
be Bananas.
Bananas? Yeah, it's Banya.
Yeah. The best,
Jerry,
the best.
There it is.
We're here to talk about the Phillies.
That's true, yeah.
What are your biggest takeaways from the Phillies being good? Which players in particular?
I mean, my biggest excitement is Jose Alvarado, he's the best reliever in baseball.
How weird is that?
I mean, honestly, not that weird. He's been the best reliever in baseball for the last 11 months since he got sent down to from the end of last year, going back to when he got sent down to AAA in June. He had something like a 1.5 ERA, and his FIP was below 1. The only guy who was comparable to him was Edwin Diaz. I'm not going to say I predicted him to be this good, but I had a feeling. Yeah, bless up, pour one out for the Mets boy over there. But
that's true.
I'm in love with this bullpen. There's no reason why they cannot be the number one unit in the league with Kimbrel and Soto and Sir Anthony, and I like Brogdon and Bilotti, and who the hell knows if Luis Ortiz is legit, but he hasn't walked a guy this year. I mean, there's no one out of the pen right now that I don't like other than maybe Junior Marte. Even Andrew Vasquez has been good this season.
Right. Yeah, Junior Marte is a great candidate for a future rando going down the line.
Yeah, he'll be this team's Eude Brito. But can I ask you a question? Yeah. Can I ask you a question?
Oh, we'll get there. Don't worry.
Yeah, we'll get there. Can I ask you a question about this bullpen, Ben? I do have some concerns, and I think other people do as well. The bullpen's been terrific. I was convinced Craig Kimbrel was utterly washed after the way he finished with the Dodgers and the way he started with the Phillies, but he's pitched well the past couple of games, so I'm hoping that I'm wrong. But my question is, we've seen this happen a lot where Matt Strahm, they clearly don't want to overexpose him, so he only threw 60 pitches yesterday. He was phenomenal, but a lot of people thought that Rob Thompson pulled him early, and Rob Thompson's, I guess the way I'd put it is the bullpen's been ridden hard and put away wet. And do you worry that this is going to burn them out, I guess, because there's some older guys in there. There's not a lot of bulk relievers other than Andrew Vasquez, and I guess Brogdon likes to go 2 innings sometimes. Do you worry this is going to catch up to them later on in the year, the fact that their starters are pretty much only going 5 innings pretty much every game?
So I have 3 thoughts on that, and let's hope by the time I get to the second thought, I still remember what the third thought is. But firstly, I am concerned about the bullpen in that capacity, yes. They do have a lot of one-inning guys, but the other thing is their bullpen depth is actually not bad. We joke about Junior Marte, but there is a good pitcher in there. I look at him and I just see a worse Sir Anthony Dominguez. He is to Sir Anthony as Gregory Soto is to Jose Alvarado. He's just the slimmer version who throws a little bit softer. But first, I'd like Marte to get some control of that fastball first. He has got a great sinker and a great slider, but I need to see more from him. And, he had that horrible opening to the season. He pitched pretty well yesterday. He manages counts well, and I think got through the inning something like 8 or 9 pitches. Maybe it was 11 or 12. I can't say for certain. But I like Vasquez and Bilotti and Ortiz at the back of the bullpen. They give me some confidence that if, either of the top 4 guys go down, that one of those guys will step up and fill in that role. That said, there are issues with pulling Strom early. Not that that's the wrong decision. There are 2 reasons for that. A being, I think the Phillies plan to move Strom back to the bullpen once Suarez comes back to pitch. And I think they're going to take it really slow with Suarez. They don't want to do with him what they did a few years ago, where he would come in and he'd pitch 3 innings, then they'd piggyback him. I think that they want Suarez to come back ready to throw 80 to 90 pitches, and they'll build him up to 90 to 100. Secondly, Strom, I believe his most innings of the season is something like 115. And they're just not ready to, throw him out there and say, all right, bud, go 7 innings in April, and we expect you to do that for the rest of the season. Because if they do that for the rest of the season, he's going to blow past his innings limit so hard that he's either not going to be effective by the end of the year this year, or he won't be effective next year. And right now they're just trying to manage those counts and make sure he doesn't overexert himself. And those are, my 3 points that I did not forget any of.
I'm impressed. Round of applause real fast for that. You got through all of them. Yeah, if you could curtsy, I would ask you to. Beautiful. Just what we were looking for. I think you make some good points, and I agree. I don't know that pulling Matt Strom was the wrong decision. Obviously, it worked out yesterday because they held the Mariners scoreless. I just do worry it's going to catch up with them. But I guess they do have some depth coming back. Christopher Sanchez is going to be sort of the weird swingman thing that he always is. Nick Nelson can come back and I guess sort of be Andrew Vasquez again and just be the long guy. So they do have some of that, but I don't know. I guess do you see their starting pitchers being able to go further in games? Obviously we're hoping Nola and Wheeler get back on track. What's up with Taijuan Walker, man? He picks an inning to just walk the yard.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about the starting pitching in the long run. Let's say Nola and Wheeler will figure it out. Frankly, I think Wheeler is fine as is. He's gotten some really unlucky soft contact bloops. His advanced stats say he's already pitching really well, and I think that's going to meter out through the rest of the year. Nola, I'm a little bit concerned with velocity-wise. Wheeler's had some troubles as well, but I'm a little bit less concerned. Nola needs to figure things out. I have every confidence that he will because his track record says he does every year. And the guy's never been injured in his whole career aside from 2017 or 2016, maybe both. Walker, I thought was a bad signing when they signed him, but I still think that he's very good for a 4-starter. And I think that by the end of the year, he'll have an ERA somewhere between 3.6 and 4.4. And as long as he can pitch 150 innings, I'm fine with that. If you need to, send him to the IL for a month at some point and have Strom back in the rotation, we know that works. At some point, Andrew Painter will come back too. They have 7 guys who I feel really comfortable with starting games. And at some point, another one will go down and someone will step in their place. I'm just hoping that at no point we have 3 of those guys go down. As long as 5 of them are in the rotation at all times, the Phillies have one of the best starting rotations in baseball. Just look for the dominance to start occurring, and I have every confidence that it'll happen soon.
Yeah, I think it has been a thing that we've sort of missed in the past. We're kind of used to the Phillies not really having any depth at all. And we see at first base, they didn't have any depth really. So, they got tested hard there. And, what are you going to do? You have 2 injuries there. What are you sorry, I should be using my drops for this. You get 2 injuries there.
What are you going to do?
Yeah, as Tony Soprano so eloquently put it.
Yeah. In the starting rotation, like you pointed out, I mean, you got 7 guys who can come in and give you quality innings, which we did not expect going into the season. I don't think any of us thought that Strom
Not
was
at
going to
all.
end up being stretched out. And Strom's been the best pitcher so far. So, it is kind of a welcome surprise to see, like, oh, what, the Phillies actually have the ability to maybe sustain an injury to a starting pitcher. That's very strange. This usually is not the case with this team.
They've sustained 2 injuries to starting pitchers, and they're still 500, even after, their offense has been good, but unable to drive runners in.
Yeah.
And it's been frankly phenomenal as well as they've done with injuries to, what should be their 3 starter and their 4 starter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also, I mean, injuries to Aaron Nola's effectiveness. I mean, they as much as we've complained at times, like me and Ethan will text each other, when the Phillies are getting shut out by, what was his name? Ashcraft? What's his first name?
Graham
Ashcraft.
Graham Ashcraft. Yeah, we're texting each other, dude, just ready to unalive ourselves, many call it.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, dude, how are they not doing anything against this guy? But like, you consider all the adversity that they've faced so far, and they're not the only team, but, the fact that they're 500, it's a lot better than it felt like 2 weeks ago when they almost, did they lose the series to the Reds or did they split it? I think they split it,
won
right?
the first series and they split the second series.
Yeah, which, they almost lost the season series.
That was a wild
Reds.
ride. That was a wild ride.
Yeah.
Well,
but now we're starting to see some performances from, guys that we were hoping to see performances from, like Nick Castellanos, who has been a little bit of a pleasant surprise to start the season.
More than a pleasant surprise.
Yeah. I was hoping for a bounce back, and I'm not convinced that, that this is it, but so far signs have been really good. He's been especially on fire over the past week or so. Yeah, he finally started hitting some homers, which is very nice. And I think we're getting the Nick Castellanos that we paid for. We paid for, not the Phillies. We paid for.
Not John Middleton. I signed with that $100 million check.
Yeah, that was
Ben,
us.
is the Nick Castellanos bounce back real or legit? Put it that way.
I don't think that this Nick Castellanos we're seeing right now is necessarily the real Castellanos, but he's a hell of a lot better than the one we saw last year. Not to go too deep into the advanced stats, because people talking about advanced stats on podcasts are nerds, and I try not to be a nerd. I emphasis on try, not always successful.
Right. Ben, look at me and Tom. You're worried about not being the coolest person on this podcast.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys have the big baseball behind you. I really cannot match up to that.
We love analytics, though.
You look like foolish baseball. That's all you need in life.
That is a wonderful compliment.
Have you not gotten that before?
I haven't. I have seen him in person, though, and I really wish I had spoken to him.
Why didn't you?
Yeah, he seems like everything I would like to be, like funny and personable and knows about baseball.
So I think you guys are going to like this story, but I was at the winter meetings back in December, and I spent much of those walking around like a lost puppy, having no idea what the fuck I was doing or where the fuck to go.
Right.
Because it's just a bunch of old baseball jagoffs just, sitting around drinking, and, you sit at the bar, you buy a guy a couple drinks, you try and find out some rumors, you sit in the workroom and, try and bang an article or two, but it's hard to do that for 4 days for 24 hours.
That actually sounds terrible.
I mean, there are parts that are fun.
Like I was gonna say, like being like, I'm going to the winter meeting sounds super cool. Sitting around like swilling scotch with old men does not sound fun.
The swilling scotch part is fantastic. The old men part less so. But I spent most of the meetings walking around like a lost puppy, just going through like the different floors of the hotel, just seeing, trying to run into people. And I don't want to say that Bailey from Foolish Baseball was doing the same thing, but I think he was doing the same thing. I saw him just walking around aimlessly a lot of the time, and people were like coming up to him, like asking for pictures. And I felt a little weird doing that. I was like, I don't want to bother him.
I would love to see that side by side. Are you kidding me?
He's very short. He's shockingly short. I really did not expect that. I also
are you tall?
He's next to me.
Just stoop down. I think.
I mean, not tall. I'm like 6
Ben's
foot,
like average height.
You got me beat.
Yeah, I'm bang average.
One thing that we realized post Ben's first appearance was that I had actually met Ben before at a baseball game. Because I went and played
several
with his,
times, I think.
Yeah, I went and played with his team, and we were like, huh. You know what? I'm pretty sure we've met before.
Yeah.
I don't know how we missed it the first time, but
I feel confident saying you and I have not met before.
Yeah, probably not.
Have you ever been in Havertown Starbucks?
No. I will say, though, Tom, if you had said, I feel confident that you and I have never met before on our first podcast, I would have agreed. I meet so many people playing baseball that I just forget instantly. It's like people tell me their names, and I just go in one ear and out the other. It's not intentional. Right. I'm terribly face blind and name blind for that matter, too. Not a good combination.
Yeah, that does seem like a disadvantage.
We love you for who you are. Don't worry.
That's true.
We got way far afield.
Back to the Phillies.
Nick Castellanos.
Yes. Is he the 140 OPS plus guy that we've seen this year? Is he like the 90 OPS plus guy from last year, or is he maybe like 110?
I'm thinking like 120. Most of the stuff I've read is that he's overperforming pretty significantly, but the thing is he's performing so well right now that even if he's overperforming, he's still going to be a good player. His OPS right now is 920, OPS plus 153. I mean, it's just hard to argue against those numbers. His walk rate's up. I think even his K rate's down. It is not. It's up 1%. I just checked. But his walk rate is the highest of his career right now by far. It's up 5%.
That's the unsustainable part.
Well, now one thing
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Okay.
I don't think so at all. The approach that I'm seeing at the plate is that in general, he's swinging less. He's still swinging and missing just as much, if not more, than he did last year. But his swing percentage in general, I haven't looked at these stats, so I could be wrong, but I feel pretty certain that he's just swinging at fewer pitches, and it's allowed him to be more selective. It's allowed him to, poke the fastballs on the opposite side of the zone into right field. And it's allowed him to get power on the inside fastballs instead of swinging wildly at everything and allowing the other pitchers to throw sliders on the outside part of the zone. The thing that is unsustainable for me is the BABIP, which is 435 right now. It's a solid 103 points above his career average. It's going to come down. It has to. But even still, I think that, walk rate up, home run rate up a little bit from last year, hitting the ball harder, hitting fewer fly balls, hitting more line drives. I think the Phillies have an improved Castellanos. If not a peak Castellanos, a good Castellanos.
Now, one thing I'm also seeing is that this isn't a huge drop-off, but, I feel like it could make a big difference. Is last year, his average exit velocity was 87.6, which is easily the lowest of his career. And it's back up around like his career average at 89.1. His career average looks like 89.2. So I'm guessing that I don't know if we talked about this with you, but we've definitely talked about it with other people, that Castellanos seemed like he suffered from a wrist injury last year in May or June.
And turf toe as well.
Yeah, and I could see that if he's just straight up not hitting the ball as hard, you start to press, and he's always been free swinging to begin with. So, I'm wondering if now that he feels better and he's hitting the ball harder, maybe he's pressing less and he's back to his old approach. I mean,
yeah. So I looked up the numbers and get this. So his swing percentage last year in general swung at 57% of pitches, which is just heinous. I mean, that is the highest of his career. This year it is down to an even 50%. Last year he was swinging at 43.6% of pitches outside the zone. This year he's down to a nearly career low, his lowest since 2015 at 34.9%. And
I feel like that's the big thing. Last year he just got a
is.
steady diet of curveballs and sliders down and away, and he just would not stop swinging over the top of them. And now he swings at them sometimes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which is like a huge.
He even hits them sometimes.
Yeah, but now he actually has laid off some, and I feel like that's made them actually put balls in the zone now, and now he can do something with that.
Exactly. I mean, he's actually. This is really interesting to me. He's actually making contact on 6% fewer pitches outside the zone, but he's swinging at 9% fewer pitches outside the zone. I don't want to make any inferences on that because I don't know these stats intimately, like I know OPS or even BABIP or WOBA, something stupid like that. But
Right.
to me, it says that he's swinging less often in general, but when he is swinging, he's making cleaner contact. And that's all I want from Casty. I think he was not great mentally last year, moving to Philly at the end of spring training, having a kid, slumping, which, creates its own feedback loop of, man, I'm slumping. I'm in a new place. I have a new kid. What am I going to do? And I just don't think he was focused out there. And it's noticeable on defense as well. He, for his entire career, has been like a first or second or third percentile outs above average guy. This year, he's something like 34th percentile. You have a guy who's 34th percentile in right field. That's not bad. It's not good, but it's very playable, and it's not the sort of guy you have in DH.
It's really weird because I was just gonna say it's really weird that like since Harper can't DH yet, I just assumed Castellanos would most of the time be the DH because he was brutal last year. Like he was like unplayable last year. And it's gotten to the point where now Kyle Schwarber is taking more of the DH reps. I think I don't have the numbers in front of my head, but like it seems to me like Kyle Schwarber has now become the weakest link of the outfield defense,
without a doubt. His speed this year as well is just atrocious. I mean, his speed has dropped off like bit by bit every year, as you would expect for someone who.
Are we talking about Kyle Schwarber?
Who's shaped like a barrel.
Oh, dude, he runs like me. It's awful.
He didn't used to be that slow. Even last year, he wasn't that slow. He's still like 12 bases last year. He was like, had not good sprint speed, but like solidly below average. He's the slowest guy in baseball this year. Don't quote me on that. He's one of the slowest guys in baseball. And it's a problem.
Pujols retired, man. That's what happens.
Yeah. It really set the bar a lot higher.
Yeah, where Pujols was wrecking the curve.
Yeah. One thing what was I going to say? We went to Castellanos defense. I saw. This is a YouTube short that I'm going to cite. I haven't looked at the numbers or anything. I hate defensive stats. They don't make any sense to me, and they don't make any sense to anybody else either, so I don't feel bad about it. But I saw that doing their analytics, the Phillies determined that Castellanos is terrible on everything except like balls that are in and to his left. So they just moved him over, and they were like, play everything like that, and you're going to be a better defender. And they made that change like late last year, and that's why he was making all those like sliding grabs in the outfield in the postseason.
And he went left the other day too and made a sliding grab, which was phenomenal.
If that's true,
went to his right. Sorry,
that's a nice simple fix. That might be what it is. I don't remember if it was left or right. But it was like in and to one side.
No, I remember this. It was
going to his left. Yeah, it was definitely going to his left.
And he's above average on that only.
After that game against the Braves where he saved Ranger Suarez at the end. And he came in and to his left and slid. And also, I just have to point out, Tom, I have never heard you sound so old than your take on defensive metrics right now. Well, than you being like, with their analytics, they talk about their stats. You sound like Chris Russo.
It's not that I think they're useless. It's just that, like, they're so difficult to use that, like, the average fan it really isn't going to be able to
I don't think they're at the point yet, like offensive numbers where you can look at it and go, this is what will happen. Like, I think defensive metrics are like pretty close. Like, they're like a really good guy is going to look really good and a really bad guy is going to look really bad. And there's a lot of noise in the middle. But, dude, you sounded like Mad Dog Russo right there, being like, these kids, they don't make sense to anybody. They're ruining the game with this pitch clock. I'm sorry, I'm getting
I looked at defensive analytics and I said,
I despise him.
I do have to ask you, this is just my opinion, Ben. I haven't been watching a ton of non-Phillies games lately, just been working a lot and stuff.
Right.
Why do the Phillies keep violating the pitch clock on offense and defense? Like, how difficult can this be to go, guys, you have to look at the clock. This number, you have to be ready. And they just can't figure this out.
I don't know. Soto and Kimbrel.
Whose fault is this? Is this Rob Thompson's fault? Is this,
I don't know.
Is it Thompson's fault?
I get it with like Kimbrel and Soto because they're just guys who've always taken a long time. But there's no reason that the hitter ever needs to be violating the pitch clock. Get in the. It's like I'm a pitcher. When I pitch and things are going badly, I'll take like 30 seconds between pitches sometimes just to reset. Take a few deep breaths. I get violating it. You're just not paying attention sometimes. Just get in the box and hit. Put the bat up. It's not hard.
Right.
You don't need. How many times do you need to adjust your gloves?
Now, in hitter's defense, okay. hitters will do the same thing. Like when you see a hitter step out and adjust his gloves, it's not because his gloves are coming off. That's like a mental reset that they'll do. But the way that I've answered this question, whenever anybody asks me what I think of like the pitch clock, I'm always like, they get paid enough. They'll figure it out.
Exactly.
They get paid more than enough to make the adjustment.
I totally
if I have
agree.
to watch, and Craig Kimbrell's been pitching well lately, thank God. But if I have to watch him do his like condor thing, one more, which I've always thought was cool, but him running that down to like 6 seconds and then coming set and then delivering the pitch at like 0-1 every single time. I have to take a Midol every time I watch Craig Kimbrell, dude. It's brutal.
Yeah, he's trying to run out the clock. He thinks
like
it's football.
He's been good, but like it's terrible to watch. Like it just gives me heartburn. I'm sorry. The pitch clock's just been really bothering. I love the pitch clock. The Phillies with the pitch clock has been bothering.
Yeah, totally could not agree more. And I want to go back real quick to the defensive analytics thing, Tom, that you were talking about, because on one hand, totally agree. Defensive analytics are just ridiculous. They're kind of out of hand. I use outs above average all the time, and I have no idea what it means. And for that reason, I think it's kind of dumb. I'm still going to keep using it though. But DRS, I recently figured out, maybe not recently. DRS totally makes sense to me, and I'll explain it as quickly as I can. Do you guys know what range factor is?
Yes.
No. Oh, yes. Okay.
I know enough about it that I don't really look at it anymore.
Yeah. So
it's not particularly useful, right?
No, so range factor is basically the only stat that goes into defensive run saved. Defensive run saved is just how much more often does a player make a play than the average player. So you just look at a player's like range factor per 9, divide it by the league average range factor per 9, and then multiply it by the number of innings. And then each run is worth 10 outs. So if a player makes 10 outs more on average, over the course of a season, that's 1 defensive run saved. And it's a good stat when you're looking at like a 4-year sample size, because it just takes forever to average out, because most players only get like 4 to 5 plays a game. If way less than that, actually, like 2 to 3 plays a game. If you're an outfielder, you might only get 1 to 2 plays a game. Right. So it just takes forever to even out. But once it does even out, I think it's a really good indication of what kind of defensive player you are, because in reality, that's what matters, is how often you get to the ball. It's not your arm. It's not, your defensive instincts, which do matter. It's mostly just, can you get to the ball and can you prevent, it from getting by you? That's essentially the school of thought. And I think as a very, very basic stat, I think it's good. And I'd like to see something, like range factor plus be created, so we can just It makes a little bit more sense to people.
Thank you for taking the time to explain that to Grandpa Tom over here.
Yeah. Well, I like the idea of I know. I like the idea of having like a range factor plus, or something that's equivalent to like ERA plus or like OPS plus.
Oh yeah, that's all I look at anymore.
No one knows what DRS means without looking into it.
Right. Not necessarily to be like the only thing you look at, but like it can be like a one-stop shop if that's what you need. Like you're not going to get a complete understanding from OPS plus necessarily, because you might look over and you're like, oh, he had a 200 OPS plus, and then you look at it, oh, he had 5 at bats, But like to have something that just gives you one number, like this is how good this guy generally is according to the numbers.
Yeah, that would
I don't know. That's probably the best you can hope for. But where were we going with the DRS? So is that a Castellanos?
We're talking about Castellanos. Okay. I do have one random question, Ben, that I don't know if you'll be able to answer. So after that intro, a lot about how Bryce Harper, he's going to be coming back, next week, the week after, something like that, way ahead of schedule, and it's a miracle, and I love that, and it's great. Do you know what is different about Bryce? Like, because people say like he's a dog, he's got that alpha mentality. Like,
he's built different.
That doesn't mean anything.
He's got bones of steel like Wolverine.
Yeah. Is there something that's different right now about Bryce Harper's rehab? Like he's doing this thing, the Phillies are putting him in a hyperbaric chamber or whatever, or is it just, you lucked out, whatever?
I think it's a little bit of Harper, quite literally, and I'm sorry to use this, being built different. I think that he's a freak athlete. I think he's just a freak athlete, and I think he heals a little bit faster than normal. We saw that with the broken finger last year. Came back like 2 to 3 weeks ahead of schedule, maybe 10 to 15% faster than you'd expect. Part 2 of that is that medicine is just better than it's been for someone who's not planning to throw. Shohei Ohtani came back in something like 6 months after he had his surgery. So you expect, the fastest recovery time ever from Tommy John is something like, 7 months. And as technology is getting better, obviously the recovery times are getting better. And I just think that when you combine those two things and you look at the Phillies also getting a little bit lucky, you get a guy who can recover from Tommy John and come back to DH in 4.5, 5 months. It doesn't surprise me at all. I remember talking about this last year and being told by my publisher at Sports Illustrated, we have to say that he's going to come back after the All-Star break because that's what the Phillies are saying if he gets surgery after the postseason. And I got into a lot of arguments about that because I think that's ridiculous. He should be coming back, right about now, because we know what kind of athlete he is. We know that he heals faster, and we know that medicine is getting better. So I'm not surprised at all. And frankly, I'd be a little bit disappointed if he did come back, in late June, like the Phillies were saying, all those months ago.
Yeah, I get that. He's just built different. Ben, we've only got a couple of minutes left. You were nice enough to squeeze us into your Friday night. We appreciate that. Is there anything else you want to talk about before I bring up something unrelated that I want to talk to you about?
The main thing was just the bullpen, and I got to bring that up right away. So, not really. I'm very excited with where the Phillies are going, and I think we're in for a special season, fellas. You know what? One last thing. I'm very happy about the attendance the past, month at Citizens Bank Park. I feel like I've sort of been a crusader for the Phillies, and the Phillies, you should be watching the Phillies for the last, 10 years, and especially when people haven't cared, and I feel like I've had to uphold that. And now that people are coming back to the ballpark, it really worried me that, like, oh god, people are coming back and seeing the Phillies suck. Are they going to start leaving again? But it feels good to be validated in that the Phillies are actually good this year. So Ethan, go ahead.
No, you're good. I think you're absolutely right. But Ben, I do need to ask you about something that's completely unrelated. Well, it is Phillies related, but not this year. You are the man behind Nothing If Not Inconsistent, which everyone should go follow.
That is true.
I know where this is going.
Me and Tom spent a night the other night just watching a bunch of your videos, obscure Phillies highlights, playoff stuff, whatever. It was great. It was a blast.
Incredible time.
I need to update all that stuff. I've been meaning to, spend a week just going through my system and adding all like the two things from the last 2 years that have happened.
It's fantastic, and it's the best follow you can find on YouTube. But I have one particular thing I want to ask you about, Ben.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing about it already. We were watching a compilation of Phillies walk-offs, and there's one from 2000, 2001, 2002, somewhere around there, of a really young Marlon Byrd crushing a walk-off homer in the vet, right?
Yeah, I remember that one.
And he comes to home plate, and he jumps on home plate. He's excited. He just walked it off. He won the game. It was great. Jim Thome greets him, Nick Punto, all those guys. And Todd Pratt comes in and just gives him 3 shots, right?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
What was that?
I don't know.
We were watching it, ourselves laughing for 25 minutes. And Tom described it perfectly. He was like, "What is this Todd Pratt bloodlust?"
Yeah, I was why is he just on him?
Do you have any context behind this?
No, I think there's just a baseball culture of someone, hits a walk-off and you beat the piss out of him. You remember Michael Franco, for a few years ago, whenever he'd hit a walk-off, he'd run out to the outfield to get away from everyone because they'd all, not quite Todd Pratt, but they'd be wailing on him.
Well, yeah, that was the
wildest thing I've ever
seen. Usually, when somebody hits a walk-off, when they do something great like that, obviously you're allowed to just beat the hell out of them for some reason.
You just inflict physical harm.
Yeah, usually they're they rip his jersey off, they push him around and stuff. This is he touches home plate and Todd Pratt just hits him with 3 quick shots to the kidney, and then all the other guys pulled him off like he was trying to start a brawl. I was like,
dude, it was the
2003, man. It was a different time. It was a different era.
It was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I don't know. I have no explanation.
Because I don't know how old you are, but I'm 26, so I was really young when that happened. And
I was not watching, I can tell you that. I'm 23.
It was 2003. What was there to watch,
I'm wondering if there was some sort of story behind this or something. Todd Pratt was just known for just attacking people. Dude, it was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Todd Pratt, known hothead.
I wish I had an answer for you. I'd have to talk to Todd Pratt.
Do you have clubhouse access? Can we get like Marlon Bird or Todd Pratt on the horn?
I wish. It was something I was trying to get for a while with Sports Illustrated, and I've resigned myself to the fact that I'm probably not going to get it this year. I work with the good fight on a limited basis, and my main job is no longer in baseball. But
well, Ben, I want to sign you
if
up
I ever get the chance to talk to Todd Pratt.
Yeah, if you ever get access to any Phillies players and you can get Todd Pratt or Marlon Bird, I want him here.
Yeah. I can maybe get you Larry Boa. That's about.
Well, he would have been there,
that would
right?
be out. Actually, I would love that. Are you kidding me?
That would rule.
I would love
maybe. He called me in class once in college when I was supposed to do an interview. That was
a story for the next episode, unless you want to do unless you want to do another meeting real fast and talk about it. Okay.
Yeah, well, we'll save for the next episode.
Keep on more.
Yeah, all right. It's a teaser. Larry Boa.
Ben,
story,
you got
next
like
episode.
20 seconds to plug everything you got going on.
Follow my Twitter, I guess. Ben H. Silver, Ben Silver. Check me out on The Good Fight. And as always, check out Nothing If Not Inconsistent if you want to see some old Phillies highlights.
Todd Pratt.
Oh!
Yeah. Ben, this has been
Todd
awesome. Pratt. Thanks so much for coming on, man. Let's do another check-in soon.
Absolutely. As always, a pleasure, guys.
All right. Thanks,
As
man.
always.
You're the best.
Thank you, Ben.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Ethan. Have a nice weekend.
Thanks, dude. You too.
Guys, let's all say a big The Baseball Podcast thank you to Ben for, coming on this show. Really, frankly, wasting his time entirely coming on this show.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. He could go on with people who, A, have, like, a big audience, which would benefit him, which we do not have. Right, and also have, like, real things to say and, like, points to make. We're just here talking about Todd Pratt hitting people 20 years ago.
Well, but that's what the masses really want to hear,
And he's
listen,
right.
So, one thing that I did want to mention, as a Victus Sports employee, from time to time we get professional players coming through, to vibe, and I was confused initially as to why Matt Strahm came to Victus, because Matt Strahm, as many will know, is a starting pitcher / relief pitcher. Not the kind of guy who really needs to purchase baseball bats. So, and it turned out he was there for an undisclosed social media thing that was being filmed there. I'll let you guys find out when it comes out. But
are you breaking a spot of news?
No, I'm just you know what I'm doing? I'm teasing a spot of news. But
yeah,
something that I don't know if I've talked about it on the podcast, but I've talked about it with a lot of people. I'm sure we've talked about it. If you play baseball at the amateur level or whatever, or you just, sometimes you just play around and go to the batting cage or whatever, it's really difficult to get a handle on just what another planet Major League Baseball players are on.
Just how much better professional athletes are than you will ever be.
Yeah, like the level of good that they are, even the worst players, is insane. It's unbelievable. And we have a radar gun in the batting cage at Victus. So we have an exit velocity leaderboard, and we got out the pitching machine, and Matt Strahm got in there, who has not picked up a bat in 8-9 years, since his first year of college. Because
yeah, he probably hit a little bit in the majors with the Padres.
Well, but he was a reliever. He probably hit once.
No, he started for a little while.
Did he start? Okay. But Matt Strahm, not a hitter. Okay. And if you watch Major League Baseball games and Matt Strahm comes up to hit, he's not going to look good out there. He's going to look lost. Right. Matt Strahm just casually walks into the cage and hits 100-mile-an-hour line drive. And 100 miles an hour is a rocket, right? For those of you who don't pay any attention to exit velocity, 100 miles an hour is a really hard hit ball. For major leaguers, that's just a regular hard hit ball. But for if I hit a ball 100 miles an hour, I would be thinking about it for the rest of my life. So yeah, Matt Strahm comes in and just immediately hits 100 miles an hour on the gun. The day after he pitched too, so he's probably sore as hell. And yeah, and you know what? We went in there, everybody who worked there who wanted to also got to hit. And I got to 95, which is the bare minimum of a hard hit ball at the major league level.
Hey, I was there a couple of months ago with you, and I got up to a cool 62.
Yeah. Dude,
after
I
like
thought I
half an hour of
crushed it,
taking
right?
hacks.
We had a Rapsodo in there, and I thought I crushed it, right? I was like, dude, that's gone. And I looked at the iPad, and it was like 94.9. And I was like, well, you know, this is where we are now. But yeah, so Matt Strom came in. We ordered a bunch of Stromboli's.
Giddy up.
And you know what? It was a great time. A great time was had by at least some, by many.
Yeah, Matt Strom was probably not enjoying himself.
I think he was, because he beat the other Tom who works there on Exit Velocity by just a little bit. And he wrote on his thing on the leaderboard, he wrote, "Suck it, Tom." And then Tom went in there and got higher. He got like 105, and he wrote, "Suck it, Pastrami." So, you know, there was a little rivalry going on. It was
what
a
a
good
fun
time.
place to work.
Well, yeah, you know, listen, I'm willing to vouch for Victus that it's a fun place to work, and also all the other people who work there are incredibly attractive.
Is this
primarily my bosses?
Is this where you give it an obligatory, like, well, you know what, we work hard, we play hard too?
Yeah, like, so that actually reminds me of me and Brian, who you guys will know as our first guest alongside Nick Sikoris. Me and Brian were on Wish.com, and we were looking at these hardcore shirts, and they were all the shirts that say, like, you know, "I don't mind hard work. That's why I work at Super Fresh. And if I wanted to do something easy, I'd call your mom." Dude, incredible. They have like skulls with wings coming out of them on the front. Dude, I need one of those for Victus. Like,
yeah.
We work hard, we play hard, and we get hard. Like, dude, these shirts are amazing. Like, I gotta get one for like a company I don't work for, like Petco.
So speaking of amazing images, I'll put a picture up.
Oh yeah, you guys have to hear about this. Is the greatest thing ever.
MLB The Show is fantastic. I love playing it, and as we spoke about with Kenny 2 episodes ago. This year's game is great, and it's fixed a lot of the problems people had with 2022, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been very enjoyable, and they have World Baseball Classic stuff and Negro League stuff, and it's awesome. And one of the things, MLB The Show a lot of times is behind the curve when it comes to video games and sports video games in particular, because Madden and NBA 2K are these massive money machines, and they have these huge studios doing them, and MLB does not have that. They have maybe 50 guys working on it, and you know, they don't have the same kind of budget, I guess, for lack of a better term, and manpower. And so one of the things that they put in for this year's game, which has been in NBA since like 2015 or something like that.
Yeah, I remember you doing this I did it in NBA a long time ago.
But they just put this in, and it's cool. They put in a face scan feature. And basically what you do is it's kind of, remember the iToy, Tom, from PlayStation?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, where you could take a picture of yourself and you put it on your guy and it looks like it. Because nobody really wants to sit through and all the options of nose depth, ear point. Nobody cares. And so
I'm sure somebody for everyone.
But they sort of just roll with the generic looking player most of the time. I think most people do. But now you can face scan, you can play as yourself. It's really cool. It's great. Here's the difference.
Instead of Joe Random.
Here's the difference, and I'm only speaking out of my own opinion, or my own experiences, I mean.
Okay.
When I played NBA, I think it was 2K15 that I faced my game, maybe 2K17, something like that. And what I did was I downloaded the app and it said, okay, go to the face scan feature. I went to the face scan feature, and it had you do, it had you put your phone here, and then you moved all the way around, and you moved this way, and then you moved up, and you moved down, and it took pictures of your entire head, basically. Put that in the game, and it generated a head for you, so it would look like you, and it looked pretty good. You
know what they don't want you to? They don't want you just putting the most flattering angle in there. They're like, no, we need them all.
But it's also that's how it's realistic. That's how they get your cheekbones and the structure of your head and everything. And it's pretty good, and it looked like me, and it was unfortunately for this character, it looked like me, and it was great.
Right.
MLB, on the other hand, has you just take a picture head on, and you just do this, and you line your face up in the little outline, and then you take your picture, and that's it. And it's you don't smile.
That face.
Yeah, it's don't smile, don't wear jewelry. So you're just sitting there and then you take your picture, and it's great.
It's
and
like
here's
getting your driver's license picture.
Exactly. I'll put up a couple of pictures. So when it first showed up, it was just a bald head, and it was really like freaky because it didn't have any facial hair, it didn't have any, hair.
No,
And
wait,
like the head shape is different.
Quick interjection. This thing nailed his mustache. It
It did.
absolutely nailed it. The rest of it looked like a cave troll from Lord of the Rings because it was Ethan, but just shaved.
It was wild. It was wild. But so I'll put up that picture, and it was kind of weird, and it looked like a bowling ball, and it was strange. And then I added the hair, and they had a hair that's pretty close to mine, and I put that in and everything, and I put in like some stubble, and I was like, okay, we're getting there. And I sat down, my wife sat here, and I was like, okay, what do you think of the nose? Do I put it in a little, whatever? And we kind of worked on it for like 15, 20 minutes, and we got pretty close. And so from the head on, I'll put up a picture of the head on angle, and you can see it, and you're like, oh, okay, that looks like you. It's pretty close. Like, whatever, that's cool. They face scan. And then there's a profile,
Yeah.
You can change it that way. It's me. It looks exactly like me. It's wild.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
I was on the phone with him while he was doing this, right? And he's sitting there, and they're going through it, and his wife is like, "No, the bridge of your nose, you gotta send it in more." And then all of a sudden, he just goes, "Oh, it looks like me." I hate it.
Dude, it's true. It looks, and especially like the profile, like this. It looks exactly like me. It's horrifying. And I'm not attractive. That's why it's so horrifying. And I guess the other thing about it too is like when you put in your generic player, it makes him like, I don't know, like 6 foot, 6'2", something like that. Like baseball players are pretty big. And like
Right.
210 pounds, 200 pounds, 190 pounds, something like that.
Right. It gives
like
him an athletic build.
A big athletic guy. And then you can select different body types. So there's like buff, normal, husky, which is a guy a little chubby, and there's fat. And so I always would just go with the generic guy.
That's for your Bartolo Colon types.
Right. I always would just go with the generic guy. So it would be like buff, 6'2", 185 pounds, whatever. There's just a big strapping guy and whatever.
Right,
cool.
like you.
And so I put in this thing, and this thing's me. And it looked exactly like me, but on this really athletic body. And I was like, well, that can't do. Like, that's not how that works.
Yeah, that's
so
not
I made
realistic.
it 5'10", which I'm like 5'9 3/4. So I made it 5'10".
How do you know your height that precisely?
The doctor told me that pretty recently. But so,
dude, that's
so,
like that's like no. I'm not 6 feet. I'm 5'11 3/4. So I just rounded up for Tinder purposes.
Like every guy, I'm proud of the extra inch. But
true.
Yeah. But so I go down and I make him like 5'10", and he's a little shorter, and I'm like, okay, that looks better. And then I go to the weight, and it's like 195 or whatever, and I'm like, well, that's not me.
And you're like,
so it's a slider. So I just go, you don't type it in, you just move the slider up. So I just go and go and go and go and go, and it gets up to like 240 something pounds, and then it resets and it goes all the way down to like 160. Like that's the highest you can go. And I was like, okay, I'm only 240 pounds.
Wait. Now, how are you going to do Bartolo Colon if you can only go up to 240?
I guess the game developers can change things. I don't know. But anyway, so he's like 5'9", 5'10", and like 240 with obviously the fat build. And so it's just this sort of like kind of looking guy. I'll put up a picture of the full body. And it's pathetic because it looks like me. Like, that's the worst part. Like, that's like, and here's the only other thing, because I was talking to my wife and I was like, what do you think? Like, do I need to take the arms in? Do I need to change like the spine length? And she was like, I don't know. Who cares? And then I like turned him around and she went, oh, wait a minute. Your butt is flat. And I was like, what? And she goes, that guy has like a regular butt. Your butt has to be completely flat.
Yeah, you need to have the shelf. You need to have a
exactly.
washboard.
Like my butt is just completely flat.
So I was like, you don't have washboard abs. You have washboard butt.
Washboard butt. And so this guy is me. And then so I put him in the game and I start my road to the show. Right. And it has, and like, you play as a baseball player, so 90% of the time he's in a baseball uniform. But in the beginning of your road to the show, he like gets drafted and he's on the phone with the GM and everything, and he's in a suit, and it's this fat guy like talking to the GM, and it's me, dude. Like, I have these wedding pictures of me in a gray suit like that, and my gut's just hanging out, and I'm like, like, dude, it's pathetic.
And you can't post this. We also have a picture of him out of his wedding suit because. This is a little bit of it going into the weeds, but on Ethan's wedding day, he opened up, he basically unboxed the entire suit and like the shirt and everything that day. and we're in there, right? Yeah, like I was a groomsman, like me and Brian and like his brother and everything, and we're in there, and he takes the shirt out, and it's still in the back, folded up. And
I've
he
never
opens
gotten
it up, and
married before. I don't know how to do this.
it's got like a grid from being folded. And we're like, dude, you better keep your jacket closed.
I didn't iron it or anything. It was great.
Wait a minute, but wait.
I also forgot to bring socks.
Oh yeah.
So my cousin Josh, had like an extra pair of socks. So I have these like neon green socks on.
Dude, this was incredible.
It was hysterical. I also don't know how to tie a tie. So like somebody had to tie my tie. Well, I grew up without a dad. I grew up without a dad. How would I know how to tie a tie? Like I don't know how to tie a tie. So somebody was like tying my tie. It was like so pathetic.
Yeah. But okay, so your road to the show play, right? He was not getting married. He was getting drafted, looking like he was getting married. And dude, I have to say, so Ethan sends me the first one, right? The one that he didn't do any edits on. And he's like, dude, look at how cursed this is. And he sends it over, and he's like, dude, like, what is this thing thinking? And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, you know, if you put the hair and the facial hair on this, I think it's going to be pretty close. It is cursed, but like most people would look cursed just completely shaved, right?
It's terrifying.
So he goes in and he starts doing the work, and it's like, oh no, it's all coming together.
It's terrible. It looks like, I mean, the head on isn't 100%. Like it's like, oh, it's pretty close. Like that's a lot better than I could ever, do just messing with the sliders. But like it's not quite me. But the side profile is 100%. Like they absolutely nailed it.
And it's better than some of the face scans of like real players.
It is, like, dude. It's horrifying.
I think some of the Japanese players in the game have some face scans where it's like, okay, yeah, no, I'm sure that's Kensuke Kondo. Apologies for the pronunciation. Again, we're revisiting the whole pronouncing Japanese people's names. I'm sorry, Mr. Kondo. We made you some baseball bats recently. I hope you like them. And I'm sorry that I don't know how to pronounce anything in Japanese. But yeah, is there anything else that you want to bring up in this free time? Frankly, this is really kind of a Friday fun day.
We're playing with house money right now, especially because the Phillies are on Apple TV Plus, which I'm not paying for another subscription service just to watch like 5 games. Same thing with Peacock. So like, I guess I'm not watching the Phillies tonight.
Peacock is such a service that you just have a friend who has it.
I don't.
You just go, yo, let me get your password.
I don't have friends.
Okay, well, that would be an obstacle. But, other than that.
Maybe I should hit on my brother.
It's kind of like a boat. Like Peacock, like Paramount Plus are all like a boat. The best way to have Paramount Plus is to just have a friend who has Paramount Plus.
Yeah, is to borrow it, yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? For Disney Plus, I'm that guy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But that's how I am with MLB TV. For years, I give everybody my MLB TV.
That's true. Yeah, but you don't pay for, so don't pat yourself on the back too hard.
Well, I pay the phone bill, and it comes with the phone, so like, fine.
Oh, wow. Yo, how generous are you paying your own phone bill? You know what?
Tom's like, somebody's a little snippy.
Yeah, you know what? You know what I have to say to that?
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, so speaking of somebody's a little snippy, that's something that gets bandied about in my workplace a lot, that sentence. And it's from a guy named John Wagner who I work with. And I want to give John Wagner a shout. I want to give John Wagner a shout out. He's 19, I think. He's a young man. Handsome devil. Oh. And I started working with him, I don't know, the past 6 months, something like that. And it came up somehow. Yeah, it came up somehow that I had a podcast and that I'm into baseball and stuff. And he was like, I caught a couple of random. I mean, I'll get him on here to tell the story. But he was like, I caught a couple of random like Phillies games last year. I watched a little bit of the World Series, and it was cool. But I've never really been into baseball. But I've been thinking I should get into it. And I was like, start watching, dude. Like, what the heck? Go ahead and watch it. And he was like, okay. And that happens a lot where people are like, oh, I should check that out, whatever. And then they lose sight of it and whatever. And I do that with things all the time too.
Right. Yeah.
John Wagner. Shit, man. Like he'll come in, like he'll text me all the time and just be like, how about this Phil's game? Or like, how about Aaron Nola tonight or whatever? And he'll come into work and just be like he came in today and he was like, what a comeback. And I'm like, man, you are watching the Phillies. And here's the important part, though, because I'm very proud of John. He's getting into baseball. It's terrific. I love it.
Right.
But I want to give him a shout out specifically for this reason. I told him I had a podcast and everything. He's like, oh, that's cool. And I was like, here's the thing, though. I was like, we kind of get off in the weeds about baseball stuff and baseball around the world and everything. And you know what I mean? Like, if you're not that into baseball, you're probably gonna be bored. And he was like, no, I'll check it out. He'll text me all the time and be like, I love this guy, Sean Spradling, that you had on. I love this guy, Gabriel Rincones, that you had on. And he sent me a picture yesterday or the day before or something. And he was like, morning class got canceled. And then he sends me a picture and it's his laptop in front of him with a cup of coffee with our faces on there, like just like a screenshot from one of our episodes. And he's like, starting my morning off right. And I was like, John Wagner, super fan John Wagner.
Yeah.
What a guy.
You know what I have to say to that? I look at that and I say that John Wagner was doing this. He was going,
I'm trying to help you out, get you something started.
And
that was terrible. You like getting there, like that was like watching somebody like kick a puppy. But
that was like watching somebody fall down the stairs and then they land standing up.
yeah. But I bring this up though because John Wagner, he's getting into baseball. He knows some of the Phillies now. But you know, he's not really gonna be able to do like Melvin Mora or you know that kind of thing or Elmer Descends because like he hasn't really been into baseball. And that's perfectly fine. John Wagner's a big football fan, and I was huge on football for a long time. I don't watch as much anymore, but I still like it. And same thing with you, Tom. Like we were both huge into football as kids.
Mm-hmm.
I say, and we've talked about this, but I want our fans' opinions. I say we have a football crossover episode with John Wagner. We play. It's not Elmer Descends, Tom. You want to tell them what it's called?
What's called? So originally this game was called Artis Hicks, and it's the same rules. You just think of the most random.
Yeah, Artis Hicks was the most random football player that we thought of. That was the name of the game until then.
So I don't even really watch that much football, but I still have these names just filter into my consciousness from time to time, like Jericho Cotchery. Yeah. But
Stuart Bradley.
So I just shoot some off to Ethan from time to time, be like, oh, Kiko Alonso, you know, Antonio Holmes. But one of the ones that I sent Jaquay Thomas, right? And I looked it up because I was like,
no. I have to stop you right there. Because you texted me and you said Jaquay Thomas. No, Jaquay Parker. I don't know which. Yeah. And then you were like, whichever one was an Eagle. And then I looked it up, and it was and I forget what, but it was like Jaquay Parker (parentheses) known as Jaquay Thomas from this period of time. And I was like, wait a minute, you got both of them. Like I was like, you got not only got a random Eagle, you got both of his names. Like that's unbelievable.
So the game's now called Jaquay Thomas, and
or Jaquay Parker.
Yeah, it's interchangeable. That's the amazing part about
whichever you prefer.
So
but I'm excited to do a little Jaquay Parker with John Wagner because we're also different eras. Like I was huge into football in like 2004, like the Donovan McNabb TO era, and then I slowly filtered off. Like I still watched it a lot, and then around like middle school, like 08, 09, I started getting less into it. And now I sort of like I catch a game sometimes and I like it, and like I sort of know who the Eagles have, but like I'm not that into it. But like, dude, you give me like 2005, I can give you like Leroy Glover all day.
Yeah,
John Wagner's John Wagner's like 7 years younger than I am. So he's coming in and he's being like, how about that Kenny Pickett? That's another thing. We do the Southern Belle voice all the time. But he'll come in and be like, yeah, and he has all these guys that are like way more recent. They're like, I don't know. You know what I mean? And so he'll be like, how about like, bad example, like, how about Zach Ertz? And like in my mind, that's not old. But to him, that's old because he was young. You know what I mean? So it's like I think like the generation gap is awesome. So we should have Garrett on actually. Now I think about it with him too, because Garrett works with us. This is what we do at work. Like me and John and Garrett and our boss Anthony, who's a big football fan. Like I'll literally just sit around and be like, "How about Dallas Clark? What's that doing for you?" And then we'll just, you know what I mean? We'll just keep doing it.
Now just imagine the equivalent of the Zach Ertz thing in baseball would be like me going like, oh, Kent Tekulve, and then my dad's like, dude, he ain't a random. Like,
yeah, what? Kent Tekulve rolls.
Which that is true, but you know, he's not somebody I think about regularly, as opposed to, you know, maybe somebody like
his name is Dan Arlo.
That would be somebody that I think about arguably at all times.
And what
But,
better way to end it? We're just spinning.
Well,
our
actually,
wheels
I
here.
want to run this by you. We don't have to do
Oh
this,
yeah.
but
Go ahead.
one of our future guests, a gentleman who goes by the name, many call him Jim Sharkey, recommended a game in our group chat today, which is called Mike Zagurski Hell.
The group chat's called that, not this game.
Yeah, the game does not have a name yet because this is a new game. This game, it's like Elmer Descends.
Wait. You save it for when he's on. Let him break it down.
You know what? That's a good call.
Yeah.
New game incoming.
Yeah.
Guys, tune in. When Sharky comes on the podcast.
Should we play a quick game? We got like 5 minutes.
Yeah, but which game we're gonna? You know what?
Well,
I want to do Melvin Mora, but let's do Melvin Mora starting lineup only, unless the bench names are amazing.
I was gonna say, I don't know if we talked about this. I have a game in mind called Mark Belanger, which the whole idea is you have to name the all-star who was like least deserving of being an all-star. Because Mark Belanger was an all-star a bunch of years with like a 68 OPS plus. And so I really like the idea of just naming guys who are just not good. You know what I mean? Who were all-stars.
I don't have anybody in mind for that, though. I mean,
I didn't really have any either. That's why I wanted to do it. But all right, Melvin Moore, who do you want to do? You give it to me. I've been to Melvin Mora most times.
Okay. All right. Let's do... I'm going to
Sorry, what I meant to say was give it to me, Daddy.
I'm going to give you let's do the 2014 Rockies.
Cool. I said we only had a little bit of time.
All right. Okay, catcher.
Right. Wait, let me try off the top of my head.
Okay, so you should get a decent number of these.
Cargo's still there. LeMahieu's there.
Okay. Yes. And yes.
Tulo's still there. He wasn't a Blue Jay yet.
Yeah. This is that year that Tulo had an entire season in September.
Yeah. Charles Blackmon, of course.
Yes. Chuck Blackmon is here.
How about Chris Iannetta?
No, Chris Iannetta has been replaced.
All right. Oh, how about Tony Wolters? Yeah, that's a good guess either way.
It is, but I do not see any Tony Wolters.
All right.
This catcher. This guy was like a power-only guy.
Give me Willeen Rosario.
Yes. Yep.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Right.
Nailed it.
How about Ben Paulson?
He is here, but he's not the starting first baseman. But that's a great pick, though.
All right.
That's a great pick.
Is short. I didn't get first base yet. Was Ben Paulson first base?
No, he's the backup.
Was this the Mark Reynolds year?
No, I think that was later. This first baseman, I think this was his last good year.
Justin Morneau.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, nailed it.
By extension, Michael Kadire.
Yeah, Michael Kadire, the all-time great dad of baseball.
Nice. I like how they just got a couple broken down twins to have career years, and they still didn't go anywhere.
Michael Kadire had a career 49 games.
Well, didn't he win a batting title out there, or was that Morneau?
Well, I think he did, but not that year because he hit 332 that year, but he only played 49 games.
Okay.
So you got Rosario, you got Morneau, you got Tulo, you got Chuck Blackmon.
Oh, wait, was Jason Giambi on this team, or was that like 2013, 2012?
I think no, he's not.
All right, nope. Third base.
You know who this is?
Oh, Arenado.
Yeah, it's an easy one.
Am I missing any outfielders?
Yeah, you need the center fielder and the left fielder.
Blackman's
Cargo only played 70 games. Cargo was bad this year.
Blackman's not the center fielder?
No, he's the right fielder. Although I don't know if that's actually true. That's just where they have him listed. But the guy they have in center field played 132 games. Dexter Fowler's a great guess, but that is not it.
Okay.
This guy sucked. Really bad.
That's not helpful.
I will give you a hint. This guy was a Reds prospect.
Drew Stubbs?
Yes.
Wow. All right.
And then the left fielder.
Real fast. How about Charlie Culberson?
He is there.
Nice. Can I rate? Go ahead.
I was going to say with a 544 OPS.
Ooh, Charlie Culberson. Yikes. Do you know he's Native American? That's not relevant, but now you have it.
Wow. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, listen, you heard it here first.
Yeah, there's a couple of those. Ryan Helsley, Michael Chavis. Go ahead.
You're not guessing these guys, right? Because Michael Chavis came up like 3 years ago.
No, I was telling you Native American guys.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Left field.
This guy had actually a really good year this year. I think this dude was a product of Coors because he was never really this good after he left the Rockies.
We don't have a lot of time. You got to help me.
Left-handed hitter. Former Philly. Philly's great. He was he had 2 good years on the Rays after being a Rocky. I think this guy was like mostly a DH later in his career. When
was he a Philly? Was he a Philly before or after?
He was a Philly in 2019.
I don't know. Lefty.
He has a name where you would have to bleep the first syllable of it.
Oh, Corey Dickerson.
There you go. That was a great hit.
Corey Dickerson. All right. How about the rotation real fast? Ubaldo was gone.
No Ubaldo Jimenez.
This was before like Senzatella and Herman Marquez.
Yes. Yeah,
John Gray, maybe? I don't feel confident about that.
No, I don't see any John Gray. I see one name on here that I remember who would be an absolute winner in Elmer Descends.
Trying to guess Rockies pitchers is just a nightmare.
Yeah, because all these guys were terrible. I think 4 of these guys. You just, it's like, oh, well, you have to think of them. The first guy is kind of a Rockies lifer. He was sort of like always the number 2 on the Rockies.
It's not like Jeff Francis, is it?
No. But I think he was on that team.
What's Franklin Della?
You're on to something.
Jorge De La Rosa?
Yes, there you go.
And you were on to something. Oh, Franklin Morales is the other one.
There you go. See, you're cruising.
You like us, Franklin Della Morales?
Yeah. You merged them. This is like Dragon Ball.
They're another one. Like they're like the Infante Prado thing. Like they're just the same person in my mind.
Right. So this dude is an ex-Astro.
Bud Norris.
He has never been good, but somehow this dude has hung on for years as a pitcher in the majors. He is currently on the Royals.
That is not helpful.
He was on the Orioles last year. This guy sucks. I have no idea how this dude's been in the league for 13 years, but
really fast. Is Tyler Matzek on this team?
Yes. Oh, I didn't think we were going to get him. Wow.
I remember him being a terrible reliever.
The 5th guy on this rotation you should get. I think you would either remember him as a Rocky or a Pirate. He has a weird first name.
Jeff Karstens? Well, that's not a weird first name.
No.
Kip Wells? Yeah, that's a good guess.
Wait.
Wait, I'm still hung up on this Orioles guy.
Hold on, I have to report. I just gave out misinformation. I don't know why I remember this guy being on the Pirates because he was never on the Pirates.
Wow. Well, then why am I saying Jeff Karstens and Kip Wells? What other team was he on?
I can see this guy in a Pirates uniform.
What team would I know him as?
A Rocky. That's the only team you're going to remember because he's not remarkable.
He was a starting pitcher?
He was pretty decent on the Padres and the Brewers like 4 or 5 years ago. He's back on the Rockies as of last year. He's bad.
Oh, Yuli Chassin.
Yeah, there you go. Why do I remember him as a Pirate? He's never a Pirate.
That just happens. Like every once in a while, I'll think a guy is like left-handed who's not. Like that.
Yeah.
Wait. Who's the Orioles guy? This is bothering me.
He was an Oriole and Astro. This dude is from like the Tommy Manzella terrible Astros era.
Ooh.
Like he might have worn the old uniform.
Pretty
sure he did.
I want to say like Scott Feldman, but I know that's wrong.
No. I don't really know. He had
It's
I don't
not
know how
Bud
to-
Norris.
No. I don't
I
know how
felt
to
good
get you to
about
get
Bud
this
Norris.
guy other than that. Dude, he's only 32.
So he came up really young.
He came up when he was 20, and he was bad, to be clear. This guy didn't have a good season until he was 27.
Where was that?
That was in 11 games for the Brewers. Actually, his full season wasn't good. I have to hide partial rows. He had
I don't know, dude.
So his first season was in 2019. It's Jordan Lyles.
Dude, you could have given me 1,000 guesses. I was not going to get Jordan Lyles. I mean, like that makes perfect sense now that you say it. But like,
Right.
I was not getting Jordan Lyles.
Yeah.
All right, we only got a couple minutes. Are there any other names that I?
Yeah, you could probably get like 4 or 5 of these bullpen guys. Probably even more if we had all the time in the world. You know who's on here? Who made 2 appearances? One of the most.
Wait. Do you want to start another meeting really fast? Just like 5 minutes, just to finish it out.
How much time do we have? No, speed run the bullpen. Throw out some names.
John Axford.
No. Okay.
That's
this
all
guy,
I got.
lifer.
Brian Shaw.
Lifer bullpen pitcher on like a million different teams. And we always laugh when we talk about this guy.
Matt Albers, Mike Dunn.
I think you would remember him as a Brewer.
Matt Belisle.
No. He is on there. Matt Belisle is on there. But this is the closer, and I think you would remember him as a Brewer.
Tom Wilhelmsen.
No.
That's a great guess.
That is a good guess. That's more of a Mariner's name.
You like how I keep declaring myself good guesses? Jim Hendrickson?
You're generally right. Who did you say?
Hendrickson?
No.
Remember him?
I do.
I don't know. You're going to have to start giving him to me.
A guy who was on the USA team this year.
Nick Martinez?
No.
This year, Daniel Bard?
No.
He was a Red Sox.
No, a guy who was effective. I think this dude is also like a Rockies lifer in a lot of ways. He was on the Yankees, and now he's on the Mets.
Give it to me.
There's the name Adam Ottavino. There you go. The closer. Should I just give it to you?
Let me give me one guess.
One more reliever. What is going on?
Rex Brothers. Wait, try and give me the closer really quick.
I got nothing else other. His name is like a regular name, but it has a syllable added at the front of it.
Brewers guy?
Yeah.
Right or left-handed?
Right.
American, Hispanic, Asian?
He was on the Twins for a long time. He's American.
Is he active?
I don't think so, but let me check. No, he retired 8 years ago.
Oh. LaTroy
This guy
Hawkins.
actually wasn't really that bad. He wasn't all that good. What?
Troy Hawkins.
Yeah. Nailed it.
It took me forever.
I know. Right, he's a hard one.
Give me another good name or two, and then let's get
Last couple names. Johan Flande.
I definitely forgot.
No, but he's a good Elmer DeSantis guy. Juan Nicasio.
Oh, Philly's great.
Yeah, Tyler Chatwood. Jair Jurgens.
Oh, can I give you one last name?
Yeah.
Rusin.
Who?
Rusin.
What's Chris Rusin?
Yeah.
No, but you know who is on here?
He was him and Tyler Chatwood were my Infante Prado thing.
Yeah, you got Jair Jurgens, you got Wilton Lopez,
nice.
You got Brett Anderson, Michael McHenry, Jordan Pacheco.
Oh, this team's so bad.
Jason Pridey. But all right, we got less than a minute, and you know what that means, guys.
Well, wait, really fast. Let's plug ourselves.
Follow us on Twitter at thebaseballpod2 and email us at thebaseballpodcast@gmail.com. And as always, everybody, and we'll see you next time.